even though he was logged in. All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Lakeville Park Commission on June 23rd at 6:36 p.m. Okay, in accordance with the provisions allowed by S 2475, Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, signed by the Governor on June 17th, 2021, the June 23rd, 2021 public meeting of the Park Commission will be held remotely. However, to view this meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view the meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later date at LakeCAM TV. All right. Into the agenda meeting minutes, agenda items. The first one, we talked about the Clear Pond Director position, but could Tony and Paula give us an update where we are? Do we have any applications that we're ready to move on?
Sure.
We had a couple, but they are not, I'm not happy with them. One of them doesn't have any experience, stay-home mom. And it doesn't look like she's ever had a job.
We don't have to go into much detail, just, we just protect people.
Okay. At this time, the answer is no.
I think that what we're looking for the amount of hours, we didn't really have anybody that was willing to commit up to the 40 hours, which was a reduction from the normal hours that were expected at Clear Pond anyway. So as of right now, Paula and I have tag team to meet with the attendants and lifeguards this morning, which there are 9 total. And after meeting them with this morning, I feel pretty confident about the lifeguards' ability, since several of them have been there for multiple years. And as far as the attendance goes, the park, again, we went all the way around the park. It seems to be in really good shape. They're willing to come down there on Friday again, under Paula's direction, around 10 o'clock to do any further cleanup and setup that needs to be done. So our feeling is that we can move ahead and open Clear Pond under our direction. And if somebody comes up as a director, great, but we can open. We had a projected date of opening Wednesday through Sunday from 10 to 6. And then the opening day would be Wednesday the 30th.
Oh, first of all, we don't have a director. I thought the point was we had to have a director, a 40-hour director, or someone covering 40 hours to open the park. We don't have that at this time.
No, and so I would then make a motion that Paula and I would oversee the park's opening and closing, and that we would be able to maintain the reduction of patrons attending due to residents only this year. And if a director does arise, then great. Other than that, we'll be taking on the responsibility to oversee the staff.
Question for you, Nellie. Obviously, this is not what the plan is. So we cannot move forward, in my opinion, without a director identified to give us those 40 hours. Am I out of line on that one? Thinking, Nellie?
This situation has never occurred. So there's nothing.
Again, I would like to make a motion that we vote on it, that it can occur under Paula and I's direction.
First of all, that's not on the agenda to vote on. We need more discussion on this here. I don't want to move forward with that just yet, because that's an issue. I'd say we have to get a hold of HR to speak to them before we go anywhere with that one. Because the idea is to have a 40-hour director at Clear Pond, as well as the staff, supporting staff. So we cannot move forward with saying you and Paula will do it part-time or whatever that is. Let's say we need HR's input on that one. Would you, anybody else, would you agree, Nellie? You dealt with Clarinda and HR group before.
I would agree that we need to talk to HR and ask them if there's anything against this at all. Could anything come back on us in terms of doing that, or any legalities to it? You know, Clarinda would know. Yeah,
I think obviously we have to include Ari on that one.
Right.
I think those are the two people I have to speak to. If that's the path we think we want to go down, I can talk to them in the morning. but we cannot move forward with that or an opening date until we get their approvals.
Well, then I think that we would need to schedule an emergency meeting before, I mean, the projected opening date was the 26th. So, you know, it's getting into summer here where the residents of Lakeville want to be able to use the pond. And if we can't make some decisions tonight, then if it's depending on what Ari and HR says, I'm not really sure why, since we're the park commission, but if that's the case, then we can ask them what they think tomorrow and then have a meeting before next Wednesday.
Let me tell you right now, the reason is they're HR, we're supposed to have a clear pond director. That was in the rules right now, so that's why we have to pass it by them. We're not going to jump over that. Just to bring Scott and Darlene back up to speed, if I could, I'll wait till Darlene comes on so she'll know where we stand on this one here.
Scott, can you give us any input on that?
Hold on, Paula, hold on.
Audio.
Wait for Darlene to come on. I think she's on now.
Almost.
Darlene, you can hear us though, right?
You know what? I can hear you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so just to let you know, right now, do not have a director or anybody lined up to be a director at Clear Pond. Tony and Paula were saying there's no candidates as of this time. They wanted to say they'd take on responsibilities of opening and closing without a director. But my opinion is we have to pass that by HR as well as the town administrator to see if that is even feasible to do. The plan is to have a director as well as all the safety people in place. For the
Well, to be fair,
wait a minute, Tony, hold on for a second. Just so that Scott and Darlene ask a question if they wanted. They were just late joining, that's all. Any questions, Scott or Darlene, on that one?
No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
I do have a few questions, but I'll let you finish. I'll let Tony finish.
Okay, I just want to bring you up to speed before we go on. So Tony, go ahead.
So I do have a full schedule of 5 attendants and 4 lifeguards with their complete schedule for the summer that covers 3 lifeguards per day. So that 1 lifeguard would be able to be, filling in for breaks. 1 lifeguard would be on the tower, and 1 lifeguard would be in the water. And then they would rotate. So after looking at their availability, they're able to do a schedule Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 6. As far as the attendance goes, I think that we have more than enough help with the attendance, especially seeing that we don't have somebody ServSafe certified to do hot food. So really the only food service would be doing packaged food. And those 5 attendants, I think we'll be able to maintain taking out the trash and serving some prepackaged food, and then taking in doing the gate.
Darlene.
Just a question, because I'm sorry I'm late. Were there any applicants for the job?
I have 1 woman who wants to do a 20-hour-a-week gig.
Okay, so I had a thought today. Okay, why can't we take 2 of the most experienced people, young adults that work there, and make them co-commissioners, directors, thank you. But you will not lose a lifeguard because they are lifeguards. In other words, you would maybe have them every other day be in charge, or work out a schedule where there's 3 on, 3 off, or something, so that we have a director. It's just a thought, because like I said, you're not really going to lose the lifeguard part of it, because they are lifeguards, and they would be directors that happen to be lifeguards. And one day they'll make more money than they would the other day. And maybe you just take your 2 most experienced, and I'm calling them young adults because they're in college, they're not kids. And they've been there a while, just an idea to float by. And if that didn't work out and there's no valuable applicants, I think we should hire Paula.
Thank you for your input, Darlene. Anybody else? The question I would say again, there are requirements for a director. Just because someone's a lifeguard or someone is a teacher doesn't mean they're a qualified director. So again, we have to make sure we go through the right chain of looking at this person's resume and passing it by HR as well. If you're going to change anything from a total of 40 hours, I don't care if it's 2 people working 20 hours, but anything different than a 40-hour schedule, we have to get HR's input. And I said, I'll talk to HR and Ari tomorrow morning. But like I said, I don't want to move any plans to move forward until we have that in place. So I'd say we cannot have a opening day set yet until we get their input. Paula.
Yeah, my concern is we have some experienced people coming back, but we have a limited staff. And we'll do well with 4 lifeguards, but I don't know if it's the safest thing to have a dual position, even if it was approved, okay, of one of them being a director plus a lifeguard. You got to have all eyes on the water and on the beach. I don't know how it will work. I think it's a great idea, but I'm worried.
Again, Paul and I are willing to donate some of our time to be able to open up the park and close the park, and then manage the schedules of these personnel. But if we want to go, and Joe can talk to the powers that be tomorrow, then I guess, and see what they have. I mean, you know, so we're willing to volunteer some hours right now, but
Yeah,
I mean, if you take that away, then we're not.
Be there, but you know, that's 5 days a week, and I understand that it's going to take a lot of my time. I'm willing to do a good amount of time, but there's some days you're going to need a break, and I would depend on Tony, definitely. I was thinking, Scott, there was no feedback on your daughter applying, right?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, my daughter's been extremely busy. She's a head coach for the Dighton Rehoboth softball team, and they are in the middle of the state tournament. So she's not even responding to my texts or phone calls. Her head is someplace else.
Okay.
We just got back from a game they won. So she is in cloud 9. And if she hasn't responded, then I would have to say she's decided she's not interested.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Clare Pond and what we discussed, Scott? Do you see a problem?
Again,
You're the more experienced person here. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I understand what you're saying about possibly Darlene's suggestion about possibly promoting a lifeguard. But it's tough to be the director and a lifeguard at the same time while they're working. The director's position requires time away from the water. And if you only have 3 lifeguards working that day, I think it's going to be difficult at best. That's just my observation. I know you're trying to come up with scenarios to make this all work, and I applaud those efforts. But I don't know, short of getting someone else to be there, I don't know what we can do.
Mhm.
Well, if we'd like to, there is an applicant now who's willing to do 20 hours.
Would you work a weekend? I don't recall.
I would have to, you know, we would have to okay that position with her. I believe she, you know, was not keen on the weekends, or it was every other weekend that she was maybe willing to do. So it would have to be something that we would then offer her the position of 20 hours, and then I would have to work out a schedule with her.
Would you be willing to call her?
Yeah, I'm certainly willing to talk with her and see what she can do for her schedule. I believe she was also concerned about CPR certification, which she did not have. So she would like some type of waiver from the town.
Scott, have they, the former director had a bunch of credentials. I don't know that we've ever had a previous director that wasn't CPR certified. Are you aware of that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. No, not that I know of. We had, when I first came on the board, Josh was the director and continued on for a couple of more years after that. And he was a lifeguard. I believe he was a lifeguard, or at least in the beginning, but he was also certified. I think that was one of the sticking points before Doug came on, that the town still wanted that person to be certified. I don't know what HR would say now, but back then, and since Dougie's been back, we've always had someone that was certified.
Yeah, once again, the job description has a lot of requirements, and obviously CPR is one of them. So we just can't be going out willy-nilly crossing out things that we don't like that people might not have. I think CPR is a something we don't want to play with. But again, pass it by HR we can. But some other things on that list as well. So I don't know if this new applicant, if they even meet those requirements. I saw one applicant today. It was forwarded on to some of the other commissioners there. So I don't know if that's the one that people were talking about or not. But I didn't see much there to meet the requirements. So
No, and to be fair, I mean, the full job description is quite involved, and it's 56 hours a week during the summer. I mean, that's really, we're discussing reducing the hours to Wednesday through Sunday, but that's really not what the job description is either. The full job description is 56 hours a week, 7 days a week, 11 weeks, correct?
We're doing 40.
Yeah, any hand up, Scott?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that it was 40 hours. And I'll be back because I'm getting a phone call from Nate Darling right now.
Yeah, it's 40 hours. I know the park was open 56, but that's why the former director was not there every minute of the day, because he had 40 hours in that 56-hour week to be there. So now it's only going to be open 40 hours. 40 hours it is.
I just stepped away from a Zoom meeting, so go ahead.
So obviously, back to item 1, we are not going to be able to vote on the Clear Pond director. I'll have some more feedback tomorrow on what their guidelines are. But I think we still have to shake the bushes to see if there's anybody out there that would qualify. All right. Next item on the number 3, discuss a possible vote on new opening date for Clear Pond Park. I don't think we can do that at this time. Again, if anybody wants to have any discussion on that, but I think it's a point we have to hold off on until.
I'd like to have some discussion on it.
All right, go ahead.
Again, I was down there today with Paula, went through the lifeguards, went through the attendants, and I think that the town wants to use this pond, and now we're going to say we have staff to work down there, and we have 2 commissioners willing to volunteer time to open and close it, and now the townspeople can't use it. I just don't think it's fair. Unfortunately, we've put it out on Facebook, we've put it out through the town, we put it out in multiple avenues to try to elicit somebody to be a director, and there's just nobody that's coming forth. So the longer we wait, the summer's going to go by, and I think it's unfair to the townspeople.
I think we have to prepare the town for a possible no opening the pond if we don't get the right people in place and all that. That's a real possibility. It happened. COVID hit us. Things happen for whatever reason, and we didn't get the people. So we're not going to push forward just because the town wants it to open. We all wanted to open, but not safely, not unsafely, excuse me, and not with a director or someone overseeing it full time. So we'll have more discussions after the feedback from HR. But again, at this time, we cannot go forward with an opening date. We just don't have enough information and not in place. Paul.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, you're going to check with HR tomorrow and see if Tony and I can fill in, and we'll keep the director's position open until we get a candidate. But we can do this until we get a candidate. We just need to know whether it's yay or nay tomorrow so we can move forward. Give you a date or no date.
We'll see if that's a viable option. Yeah. So again, I'll have the discussion tomorrow.
One more thing. I mean, it was my understanding that Mike Nolan did perform something like this in the past as a commissioner, that he had to take the reins at one point and be a commissioner in charge down there because somebody was not available to be the director. Was that true, Nellie?
I don't remember that happening. We've had Josh when I came on, and then it went from Josh to Doug, and they've always been there each year I've been here. Mike oversaw kind of like what you guys are doing, where he would check in. So did Jesse. And they would either check in with Josh or Doug, whoever it was at that time, to make sure everything was running smoothly. But we had a director on hand.
And they would always lend a hand if it had to.
Right.
Mike did that. I know Josh did that multiple occasions. As well as, Scott has helped out down the thing. So again, we'll get more information before we so we have an informed decision. All right, moving forward. If you no more discussion on that one, Darlene, I thought you had your hand up.
No,
Nope.
sorry.
Sorry about that. Okay, the next one, discussing the additional updates for Clear Pond Park online payments and all that. Nellie, do you have any information on that? Will we stand?
All information is submitted to the company. I'm just waiting to hear back for when it's finished, but the turnaround time was 2 weeks. So I'm not sure what date we'll have that. They were going to try to push it sooner, but depending on how many clients they had is dependent on where we are on the list.
Just another question for the people at Clear Pond. Have we gotten clearance that they passed the drug test, Corey checks on all the applicants?
Yeah, I had spoken with Clarinda and she would have notified me if they didn't.
Do we have she notified us that they did or not yet?
She would notify me if they didn't pass.
Nope.
As far as I know, when I last spoke with her, it was okay. Everything was okay in terms of passing. Yes.
I'll verify that everybody has passed with her in the AM as well.
Okay.
Anything else on those items? Next one, discuss meeting notes received from town clerk. Nellie, that's to you.
Yes. One of the great things about having these remote meetings is that our wonderful town clerk has been able to watch them and give some feedback on our meetings and how to better organize them. So that way there's no question as to what is happening. So on our last meeting, not the in-person meeting, but the last remote meeting, she noted that we made a motion and a motion passed, although it was not on the agenda. So we are able to do that. So what we're going to do is, and unfortunately, I don't have the motion. I didn't put it on this agenda. I'm gonna put it on the next one. But so for a few future reference, if it's not on the agenda to discuss and possible vote, we should not be voting on it. Definitely if it's not on the agenda at all. So, maybe just some updates, and from that update, we want to pass a motion. It's got to wait for the next meeting.
Even if it's under old business? Something we talked about in a prior meeting?
Yes. It should be listed on the agenda.
I think that came out of last time. I think it was something we talked about. It just came up out of new business, but I don't recall for sure. But I think that's
Yes.
What was it?
And I can't recall what it was, and I apologize.
Yeah, I don't have my notes right in front of me. Sorry about that.
Can you make a motion under new business, Nellie?
I don't think if it's not listed, we should not be making a motion.
You should not, or you cannot.
It's not a cannot. I do believe it's a should not for proper record keeping and the proper motion.
Darlene?
I think that was out there because we wouldn't have given the public a chance to respond to what was on the agenda. So if we voted on something on the agenda that perhaps someone had an opinion on or whatever, they weren't given a chance to give their opinion. I'm guessing that's why it comes down that way right now.
I would think so too. It has to do with the public.
Yeah. I guess something came out of it was new business. You're right. And yeah, we'll watch out for that. Good point, Nellie. Thank you very much. Anything else, Nellie?
Yes, well, it kind of falls into the next agenda item. The re-motion and vote on Japanese drumming camp request. We did go ahead and do the motion and approve them to go ahead and do it for no fee. However, the town clerk did provide a note thinking that Commissioner Lee should not have voted on that.
Oh,
because you're connected to them.
okay.
So
all we need to do now is just redo it, and you would abstain at this point. But it's not like the motion wouldn't have passed without her last time.
Do you have the motion written down, Nellie, what it was? What,
No, my gosh, I don't. It was just to allow the Japanese drumming group to utilize Ted Williams Camp. It's at the beginning of August for 1 week at no fee.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the Japanese drumming camp to proceed on the specified date.
can I get a second?
Second,
Any discussion, anyone? See, there's no discussion. We'll take a vote. Roll call vote. Paula, how do you vote?
yes,
Tony?
Aye.
Scott?
Yes.
Guys have it. Joe, aye.
No, excuse me, but
abstain.
Joe, I think you have to have Darlene.
Abstain.
Yep.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Scott. Motion passes to allow the Japanese group to be there the first week in August for no fee.
I didn't think it was going to be a problem. They're already promoting it. We should have a good time.
Good. Okay, now we'll move on to old business. Nellie, Ted Williams Camp office updates.
Well, my office looks very pretty with the new paint. I'm just saying, it's lovely. However, my split unit is still not in.
I spoke to Nate on that earlier this week and Ted. So it's they're tracking it down. It should be all set. I don't know if they're waiting for one last signature or something, but Teddy was going to be all over that. And I know he's on vacation, but he was going to work with Nate to see how quickly they can get that in. All right.
Yeah, I know Teddy's been great to work with on this. So as soon as that's in, I fully move back into the office. Right now, it's sort of a mess. The painter still has the stuff in there and everything. I'm not sure when he's going to be done. But then the split unit will be in there. And then once that's all said and done, I can kind of move myself back in there.
Yeah, good. How about the internet? We're all set there, correct?
We should be all set. I have the unit. Like I said, I'm not working it through there right now with all of the work being done. But once I'm back in that unit, I tested it. It works perfectly fine.
Okay. How about the memorial bench at Ted Williams update?
That's me too. So I forwarded everybody the email from the person who wanted to do the memorial bench. And that was an example of what she was thinking of. It's with the agenda documents as well online for anybody who's watching. It's plain bench and it would be engraved for the family. They were thinking about putting it closer to the soccer field since the kid was a soccer player. I'm not sure of a good spot. I don't know if anybody has any grand ideas.
I was going to suggest maybe Darlene, maybe talk to Franklin to see where they can put it and how they want to put it there. So, maybe if we put it there, we'd put it on stone so it wouldn't have grass going all around it or something, make it easier for them to do maintenance on it. So, Darlene, is that something you want to look into?
Do that. I'll do that. I got it.
Any other discussion on that? Did everybody get to see the picture that Nellie sent about the bench?
Yes.
Okay. Darlene, thank you. Nellie, thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, I'll plan for the playground fundraising and improvements.
Well, I'm working with Teddy on that. We didn't set a date yet. We're waiting for the new sign to go up and then generate some excitement. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Same. Oh, fitness trail. You want me to keep going?
I was just gonna go there. Go right ahead. Fitness
So
trail.
I've reached out to a couple of scout leaders and trying to get a little interest before I really go blitz it on Facebook. Right now, the kids that would possibly want to do it are working and making money. So obviously it's a volunteer type of thing I'm looking for a project for maybe an Eagle Scout or something. So I put my feelers out. I'm just waiting to hear back if anybody's interested.
Okay, there is one station that's down right near the water. I'll try to see, maybe I get down, some people help me pull it out of there. It's laying down off the water, so
Okay.
we can get that station and put it somewhere else. And there's another one that's down near the haunted house. Maybe,
Yeah, I'd like to
take a look
get
at it.
those out of the way anyway, so nobody ruins them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You mentioned the haunted house. I know it's not on the agenda, but when is it coming down?
Not yet. We still have to talk to the town on that one there.
All
I
right.
think it would be in the fall. That's the time frame I thought. I'm trying to get some ideas on how we can liquidate what's inside. But But I figure wait till the season gets going a little bit more, get Clear Pond out of our way a little bit, some other things, and then we can take a look at that.
Okay.
Coming sports season updates, soccer nets. This one item that I asked to put on there. Darlene, I don't know if you made any headway, but the nets seem to still be all over the fields.
Well,
tonight.
so I spoke to Ryan about what day they mow, and he told me, and then I told the soccer guy, and they moved the nets, and then the day changed because I guess the grass must be growing more. So nobody reached out and said, hey, we need the nets moved again. So they'll move the nets. They didn't have a problem moving the nets.
Franklin was asking, he says, because the dates do change when they mow.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to get in touch with Ryan again, and then I'll tell the soccer guy to move them the other days. I don't know what the days are now.
Well, I guess Franklin's point was, could they do it at the end of every night?
You want
So
him to, they want him done
yeah.
every night. That's fine. I'll tell the guy. He's in my phone. I'll text him and tell him move him every night. You got it. All right.
Just want to make sure something makes sense, and maybe where they put them, maybe whatever. So just touch base with Ryan or Franklin, and we should be all set.
Oh, I'll just touch base with the soccer guy. He can move him every night. I don't care. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other sports season updates?
I don't have any.
I'll just say there was one thing. I got called over the weekend by Lakeville Police Department. Somebody was in the park on Sunday. They noticed the window at the horseshoe shack was propped open with a piece of wood. That person was concerned that maybe somebody would go in there and steal some stuff. So I went down there, took the wood out of the window, closed the window. I think it was left over from the tournament the day before.
Mhm.
So I did get a hold of Deb Michaud. I told her about it, and she was appreciative and all that. And she said that's probably what it was. So no harm, no foul. But it was nice that somebody, one of the citizens, did call it in that they saw a window was open and I shouldn't have been open. So that was awfully nice of them.
Okay.
Any other old business? Anybody? Mr. Holmes?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Ken Lally's team is practicing and playing. It's a very short season. It's a high school prep league, and it is approximately 5.5 weeks. He's mainly on field 4. The junior senior Legion team, I don't know what's up. I call the guy. I sent him a text. They were supposed to start yesterday, and he hasn't got back to me. So I don't know what they're doing. I'll try him again tomorrow. And that's it for the baseball fields. Oh, and also the part came in for the irrigation on the new fields. And between Mark Wilson and Franklin, they got it up and running, and the irrigation's going again on the new fields.
Beautiful. All right. I do want to send a shout out, thank you to Mr. Holmes for putting down some posts and ropes around the office and around the horseshoe pits. I don't know if you guys have seen it, to keep the people off the lawns and their vehicles. It looks pretty sharp. Scott did a nice job there. I know he was there Friday night till about 9-10 o'clock doing it by himself. So thank you for that. It looks, like I said, it looks pretty sharp.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would invite Mr. Holmes to come over to Clear Pond Park and fix the fence. That would be very kind of you. I ran out a vagrant on Sunday. I was down there. He had a fire going. He had his laundry hanging on the limbs. And he was very nice. And he was very apologetic. And he ran over to the water with his hands, running back to put the fire out. Now the fire is on the edge of the sand and close to the woods. I just happened to have gone down to check. So I just picked up the sand and threw it on the fire and put it out. He did leave peacefully, but they're breaking through that fence. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Darlene, I think you had a hand up first.
I was gonna go back to something old business, but let them finish this discussion.
No, I was just begging for Scott's help.
Okay, Scott?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Tony Apollo, where is the hole in the fence?
At the end of, you know where the basketball court is?
Okay, yep, facing the water. It's down by the basketball court. Okay.
And yeah, there's a white fence there. Everybody cuts through there.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons I was getting someone to donate, because even if you open the park, people sneak in that way so they don't have to pay.
I'll take a look at it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any other old business, Darlene?
Just one thing. I was looking to find out if we posted the mission statement on our page or how that's working out. I know Paula worked on a mission statement and we had approved it, and someone asked me about it. And I haven't seen it posted anywhere yet.
No, that's me. I haven't been able to post it. I've been working, trying to get the online stuff put together and everything and updating on Clear Pond and such. So unfortunately, with part-time hours, something kind of has to give. I'll try to put that up tomorrow.
Is that going on?
I'm in the office tomorrow.
Is that going on the Facebook page or where's it going?
It would go on the website,
Okay.
on our town website. I would think on that main page, once you click on Park Commission and we have a little main page,
Okay.
I would think it would go there.
Thank you.
That's the mission and vision statements, correct?
Right.
Well, all right. Any other old business? All right, moving right along to new business. Paul, I think this was yours, maybe not, maybe Nellie's. Present possibility of an open meeting law review with question and answer section.
Yes, I thought it would be very educational if we could get someone in to talk to us about open meeting laws, question and answer period. The same thing with the Roberts rules. I think we haven't had that since high school, and it would be a nice refresher if we could get someone from the town or whoever is in charge of that. It would be a nice, I don't think it has to be in a meeting. I think it would just be a review and an informal. I certainly would like to know more about it, and I have questions. So what do you think?
Anybody?
I'm good with it. I think it's a good idea.
I mean, Paul, did you get the book at all? I mean, the Robert's Rules of Order? Have you taken?
No, I haven't.
I
No.
might check out the library as well, and maybe they have it there, just so you're familiar with it.
Is there any reason why we can't have an open discussion with someone that's presenting? A book is one thing, but you always have questions in your mind from the way it's written. I was at town meeting the other night, and the people were making amendments upon amendments upon amendments to the point where I didn't know what the original amendment was. Motions. It went on and on about motions and amendments, and
Does
there's
somebody
a
want
lot
to take a
to
look?
it.
Paula, do you want to take a look at that and see if you can find?
Pardon me?
Do you want to follow up on that new business item?
Yeah, I mean, I will ask somebody, I'll ask Gary, I think I spoke to him, but to see if they have someone available that would, if everybody's interested, it would be a great educational thing.
Town clerk has run that in the past.
Town clerk has run that in the past.
Oh, good.
Okay. So why don't you look into that and let us know? How's
I
that?
will.
All right, thank you. All right, next one, park orientation manual to help new commissioners. Who was that? Is that you, Paula?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Next item, park orientation manual to help new commissioners.
Yeah, I
Is that yours?
thought, yeah, that would be me. My other suggestion is that we do have new commissioners every 3 years, or maybe every year. It depends on if there's any resignations. But one of the things I noticed as a new commissioner is that there was Scott and Mike showed me where the parks were. That was very nice. But there's a lot to this in terms of when we are independent, where the parks are, who the teams are, how it operates. And there's a history to this park. And I thought somebody like Scott, I know if Mike was here, he'd probably be thrilled, but to tell us about the park, anyone, and how it came to be and why we are a enterprise fund and how we operate different from the town. And it's not quite clear, at least to me sometimes, as to when we can make our own decisions and when we need to ask the town fathers. Go ahead.
Darlene?
Joe? I agree with what Paul is saying. I also think it would be a good idea to give it to someone before they run and they realize how much work this job is.
Yeah.
My phone's ringing all the, I feel like I'm back on the school committee again with the phone ringing. Can I have the fields this day? I have a cancellation. Is Darlene going to open the bathroom? Like, really? Like, it does a lot. I mean, I know you guys do a lot. Everybody's killing themselves here. And I think people might think about running if they knew that what the job was.
Well, we don't want to discourage them from running.
Yeah.
Nellie, do we have, I know we have got descriptions of the different roles. Is that something that can be put online, to Darlene's point?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Have you seen that, Darlene? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
Oh.
I'm sure somebody told me about it, but I haven't had time to read much of anything. I'm busy working.
It's like a job description of the different roles within the park commission. So maybe that'd be helpful if we put it out there so people at least knew what some of the responsibilities were. Just the thought.
I was thinking, maybe Scott might have a better insight into this, but there were things that you just don't know. And I think that comes with experience with people on the park commission, and especially the history and how we've developed, and certainly where we're going. And the different areas. I mean, did I realize there were at least four parks? One of them we don't do much with. There are umpteen sports teams. We now don't do much with Clear Pond. Lawn Pond. Yeah, Loon Pond Lodge. We don't really I don't think we're involved, but maybe we are at some point. I'm not sure of that either, because I know the town has taken over that part of it, and they do check with us for different things. I just think a couple pages of reference history. There's teams, there's fields. The coaches run this, who does what, when do they call us? And how we're assigned, or that we are assigned different things, and it changes every year with election as to who does what. And these are just little things that would be very helpful. And even to the point of where, and back of Loon Pond Lodge, I mean, I did ask Scott about, people putting boats in there. Do we have any jurisdiction over that? And as Scott said, that you can put electric motors in there. I don't know the horsepower or anything like that, but people using that. And are we monitoring it, or whose responsibility is it? I don't know. Maybe Scott, Mr. Chairman, can answer some of these, or we can just put something together that would be helpful.
Scott, do you have anything to add to that before I chime in?
I'm probably as good a source as anybody, because I know firsthand the people who were here when the Parks Commission became an enterprise fund, and who was here when they took over Ted Williams Camp. So if you want, I can try to pull together some history and some relevant information going forward that Paul is talking about, as far as general things with teams and who does what and who gets where and who needs to call who. It's a good idea. We briefly talked about it a few years ago, but it never got off the ground. So if you want, I will make an attempt to put something in writing.
Nellie, why don't you put that on the agenda for old business for the next couple of meetings, just to stay fresh in our heads there. It's a good idea. Maybe it's something we can tackle in the fall after the sports season, to give Scott a little bit of break to put the stuff together and all that. But, definitely finish it this year. But anybody else wants to know next year. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Nellie?
I wanted to add, we could also add to that, while, some of this, some of the information is public, but some of it's really nitty gritty to the person who's sort of in charge of the area. So let's say we do a Clear Pond Park document that really kind of gives you the nitty gritty of how it's run and the dates and what you need to do and we can share that on Google Docs. That way, anybody who's say in charge at that time, if they find that an additional note is needed, they can just add it. And it can be a constantly running thing throughout the commission where somebody's always editing and adding that type of information.
Scott?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we could probably, Nellie, take the calendar that I started when I took over as chairman, because it was the blind leading the blind back then, if you remember. Danny was gone and Darryl was gone and Mike wasn't there, and it was you and me trying to figure out what the heck was going on and when we had to do it. So we could probably incorporate the calendar with our role responsibilities to at least start to pull something together, so that someone who might be interested in doing this job could at least ask for it, if we don't have it online yet, or whatever, what the job entails.
Right.
And for myself personally, I have always told anybody who's been interested in it that, we are a working board. And I think everyone here realizes that. It's not, show up and vote every 2 weeks. There's a lot to do. Whether you're whatever position you have, so yeah. And then we can get other people's input and we can add to it, and sure. Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know Nellie and I have done some tweaking of that calendar already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good. And maybe we'll get everybody's input for the end of the season. What if you guys who don't know what it is a breakdown from month to month of what has to happen at each park. For example, maybe in October, we shut the water off at John Pond and drain the lines, or things that need to happen at all the parks by month. So I think it's pretty good. I think we can all add to that by the end of the season here.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Good idea, because things.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You mentioned Clear Pond. Was the electricity out in that building?
Who are you asking, Paula?
But Tony, I'm sorry. We were showing everybody around the park and the buildings, and one, I think it was lifeguard building. Was the electricity out?
No.
Okay.
No, just the water pump is not functioning, which Joe and Scott are aware of.
No, the light in the lifeguard shed, the employee shed. You went to turn it on. It didn't come on, right?
It could have just been the breaker, but as far as I know, it works.
Okay. One other, through you, Mr. Chairman, will Scott ask Franklin to cut the grass over there, or was Franklin still going to take care of the landscaping there, or did that go away?
They are still handling the grass there. Somebody make contact with him, what his plan is. Scott, you want to take care of talk to Franklin on that? Just get his idea when he's going to do it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Darlene, you had something? Had your hand up?
I forgot it.
Sorry about that. All right. Any other new business? Okay, correspondence. Oh, sorry, Darlene. Yes.
I have one. Tony had a good point the other day. We were talking on the phone. I guess a big group was coming in to do whatever they're doing, using the fields, and they're a bigger group than usual. And maybe that we should ask them to supply their own porta potties for that stuff, as opposed to using the bathroom. Right, Tony? We kind of went back and forth on that.
That was, a suggestion that was made after talking with Nate Darling, that, if we're going to have, there's only so much capacity, obviously, that the bathrooms can handle,
Right.
So depending on the size of a tournament, that we could consider doing, having certain numbers, when tournaments reach certain numbers, that then we do require porta potties. But as far as the last tournament that just went on, Horseshoes did have a porta potty down there anyway, so
Okay.
it was kind of a moot point.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Any other new business? All right, moving on to correspondence. Nellie, request from local church group to use the beach.
Yes, I got correspondence of a local church group who would like to use Loon Pond for a baptism on a Sunday afternoon, noontime, about an hour. However, the date that they had asked for, we do have a wedding. So I immediately said that that was not going to be okay because we have renters in the building. They can't be in the back there. So we tried a couple other Sundays, but we're really booking up. Boston Tavern's doing a really good job. They're booking everything as much as possible. So I didn't know if anybody had any other ideas. They tend to do this on a Sunday, so their day doesn't usually change. I did suggest maybe a weekday when there's nothing going on, but that's not when the church group gets together. So I was just wondering if anybody had any ideas before I tell the church group we have nothing and that we can provide.
Could you use it any time on Sunday, like a Sunday night? Would that be out of the question?
For morning.
Or morning, yeah.
If there's an event at the lodge, they could go till they usually get it for the whole day.
Okay. Scott, your hand up first.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Nellie, how many people are we talking?
I'm not sure if he mentioned. Let me see.
Because that would, that could determine, if it's 10 people, I mean, they could park, and walk down to the beach, as long as they're not interfering with the people at the lodge. They couldn't do it right behind the lodge. I mean, if it's 10, I mean, if it's 100 people, now you're talking about logistics with parking and what have you.
They did not mention how many people, so I could ask.
Yeah, I think we need to know that, especially if we've got functions going on. Yeah, I mean, if it's 10 people, I think we could accommodate then by having them maybe walk down to the water. But if, like I said, if it's going to be a lot of people, parking is going to be an issue.
Eileen,
Well, I think I was gonna say, I guess it would depend again on the numbers, but
Yeah.
I know that Loon Pond or whoever would have the function all day, but they're not gonna use it all day. In other words, if the wedding's at 1 o'clock in the afternoons, they could probably come in the morning if it's a small group, 10 to 20 people. I mean, I guess they'd have to work the times out with the tavern. Right? I mean, because they're not gonna use it all day. That's all I was gonna say.
Paula,
Do they need to use Loon Pond? Can they use Clear Pond? And if one of us was down there to let them in, would that help? And do we have to charge them because they're using the Clear Pond? I know that if you have a party of 10, we have to charge, but I'm thinking, if it's such an issue of interfering with parking space and all of that, and they have a wedding going on, why can't we offer them Clear Pond Park?
I guess, Nellie, do you want to follow up with them? Just pick their brain on some of the ideas and see if there's some way we can work through it.
Okay.
Do you mind doing that?
Sure.
Time frame, the whole 9 yards. How's that?
So their initial date was the 27th. I just want to double check that June 27th. So I don't think we'll have a decision for them for June 27th.
No.
Would that be correct? So I'll let them know, I'll ask the questions, but let them know that we wouldn't be able to have a meeting to approve for the 27th.
Correct.
Need more information.
Okay, they might be open to just waiting a little bit for a Sunday if it's going to work out.
Mhm.
All right.
And the other option, Mr. Chairman, is that if the park is open, there's a section in back of the parking lot at Clear Pond that goes down to the water, but it may not be as nice as Clear Pond Park. Yeah. It's too, yeah, okay. I see Scott saying it's not as healthy looking as Clear Pond. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, through you. That's a nice way to put it, Paula.
Nellie, any more correspondence?
That was it right now.
Anybody have anything else for the commission?
I do. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Tony, the reason I left, Tony's not there. But anyhow, the reason I left was because I had called Nate after speaking with Tony today about the situation at the park. I guess
There he is.
what I probably missed it when I was on the phone call, but what's the plan? And there's no plan on an opening date at this point without a director? Yes, no?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will inform Nate of that. If we were trying to open this weekend, he would have got somebody down there tomorrow there's an electrical switch on the pump that needs to be replaced. I guess the electrician was down there and troubleshot it, and that's exactly what it needs, but he didn't have time to do it. So that Nate will get somebody down there the beginning of the week, rather than expediting it for tomorrow. If that's all right. I mean, if we're not going to open this weekend.
I don't think there's any expectation to open this weekend, especially since that we've talked about the schedule was going to be Wednesday through Sunday. So, if
anything, it would be next Wednesday.
If anything, it would be next Wednesday. If HR can agrees that Paul and I can take that role on and manage the 9 staff that we have with a schedule already completed, then we can move to open next Wednesday.
Okay, I'll let Nate know that. And the other thing, I know Darlene said, why don't we have Paula work it? I don't believe you can be a commissioner and work for the parks at the same time.
But I could volunteer now. Is there? I can't believe that I would volunteer, but I would do anything for the Lakeville people to get that park open because we've worked so hard on it. And if I have to volunteer to get it open, I will volunteer.
I understand. I'm not questioning that.
Thank you.
But I just think you can't work for the park and be a commissioner at the same time.
Yeah. I questioned that myself, and I knew I was in trouble if it came to that. I wasn't going to be paid.
That was all I had.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? See, we have through all the agenda items. If nobody has anything else, let's talk about our next meeting. I think we want to schedule 2 weeks out for now till we see what happens with the discussions with HR. Maybe something has to change. But I think if we just schedule a normal meeting, maybe 2 weeks from 2 days ago, get back on a Monday schedule, if that makes sense to everybody.
That would be the 5th.
July holiday.
Yeah.
The 5th.
Ooh, that's not good then, is it?
No.
How about the 7th, 2 weeks from today? Does that work for everybody?
I'm fine.
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, let's shoot for July 7th at 6:30. All right.
Is it a Zoom meeting? Is it another Zoom meeting?
Oh, I guess we didn't kind of review that. I should have reviewed that as well. So the recommendation is for us to continue Zoom meetings because there aren't enough locations for everybody to hold their meetings. The town administrator had sent out a memo and suggested that if your meeting does not need to have somebody in person from the public, you should just stick to the Zoom meetings at this point. And the procedure is if we did want to go ahead with the in-person meeting, I have to get approval from the Board of Health and then put in to see if I can schedule a location.
What does everybody think about having an in-person meeting versus remote?
I
like in person better, but
Paula, what's the I for? I for what?
I agree.
With
In
what?
person.
In person. Tony, what are you thinking? In person?
I could go either way, but I prefer Zoom.
Scott?
I prefer the in-person meeting myself. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm getting used to these Zoom meetings. I know. But why can't we have it in the lodge like we used to have it in the bar area?
Because they have to have the ability of a hybrid meeting, apparently, is part of all of this. So that way the public doesn't have to attend, but can still watch the meeting going on. I don't know if Jose has more info on that one. So there are only like 3 locations that are set up to do that, and the lodge is not one of them.
None are currently set up because I'm working with the town on that. We're trying to set up 3 rooms, the police station, the library gallery, and the library trustees room as their first 3 rooms that would be Zoom hybrid capable, which is a lot harder than you might think. Paula and I are in the same building. We have to be in different rooms with 2 doors closed in order to not to get an echo. So we're working on it. And the part of the problem is that the CDC recommendation is still for 6 feet apart indoors, I think. Maybe that's still an issue, or maybe that's still
I believe it.
recommendation by the Board of Health in Lakeville. And that's why they're looking to get boards and committees to contact them first as to what the rules are.
So Nellie, if we want to have a meeting, maybe you and Jose, same thing, same question. Can we have public comment, or if we're going to be in person, how does that work? Are they doing it online?
I can answer that. The legislation that went through and the governor signed that allowed this to continue for members to be virtual and still count on the quorum includes that the public must be able to both monitor and participate. So there is a solution there, which is, again, hybrid rooms, but also by publishing the credentials for the Zoom meeting on your agenda, the public can join your meeting and they can participate that way and watch that way. We may not be able to continue with Zoom forever. I'm sorry, not Zoom, Facebook has a Facebook Live offering forever. Facebook can take that away anytime they want or charge us for it anytime they want. So there are some issues here and we're working through them.
I mean, it would be nice. I mean, go back to a year or so ago where we had a meeting where people could attend in person. That'd be great, I think. But I think it's about time we open up to some public participation as well, whether, hybrid or whatever we want to call it. So I think we have to let's just continue to look down that path to see how we can make that happen. All right. Anybody else, any comments on that? All right. Jose, thank you very much. Well, looks like we've come to the end there, folks. We know when the next meeting is.
July 7th.
I'd like to entertain a motion that we end the meeting this evening. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's the motion to end the meeting of the Park Commission. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll take a roll call vote. See how everybody votes. Paula, how do you vote?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
All right. The meeting of the Lakeville Park Commission is ended. Now adjourned at 7:40 p.m. Thank you, folks.